Hi, I'm Bud Genhart, the president of Euro Cherry Volunteer Fire Association, and I'd like to thank you very much for watching this video because it indicates you have an interest in the Fire Association and specifically in how our equipment works. We currently have an inventory of 4 fire trucks, and the purpose of this video is to show you as clearly and quickly as possible how to work them, how to put the wet stuff on the red stuff. Assisting us and showing us how to work the trucks will be Chris Milkey, a man who's painted 2 of them, worked on all of them, and knows more about these trucks than just about anyone. He'll be helped out by Daryl Router, a board member of your CBFA. The real workhorse of our fleet is this old fuel truck. I say fuel truck because it used to belong to the Air Force and it was loaded with fuel. Well, they washed out the tanks and gave it to us through the State Land Department. And the reason it's a workhorse is it holds a lot of water. It holds 1,200 gallons. This spends most of its summertime life up in the Federal Mine area because those folks up there don't have much water. However, its function is to fill up the other trucks with water, 1,200 gallons, but it's also a fairly effective truck on its own. It's somewhat complex to operate, so follow closely here as Chris explains how.
To start the deuce and a half, it's very simple. With the deuce and a half running, get it to the position where you need to fight the fire, which should be in a safe location. The object of the deuce and a half is to put a large amount of water on the fire quickly. Now we need to start the pump. What we will do, emergency brake on. We will depress the clutch. The transfer case lever is the lever next to the gear shifter and the fire extinguisher on the floor. You will pull that 1 click to the neutral position. Put the transmission into 3rd gear. You will then reach over to the PTO lever, which is down behind the driver's seat. You will push that up into the back of the cab. You will feel it engaging. You will let the clutch out. At that point, you will hear the pump whining. You have water being pumped. To enter the pump portion of this truck, you need to open the back doors. When you're running the truck, it's good to open these doors just to get ventilation into that pump. This is the business end of this truck, PTO driven. There is a shaft behind here. You need to keep your hands out of it when it's running. That pump will supply pressure for this whole truck. There's several other connections you can hook in to supply water to where you need it. These are the spanner wrenches used to tighten all the hose connections. At the back of the deuce and a half tanker, we have the supply valve, one of them. This valve can be turned on by simply turning the lever with the hose. At that point, you have water. There's also another connection to add more 1.5 inch line to. You should always keep the valve open if the pump is running, in fear of breaking a hose or hurting some piping in the truck.
Our next truck is our biggest one. In fact, we call it the Big Unit. It used to be a troop carrier during Gulf War I. A few years ago, we had it tricked out into a wildland truck. It carries 1,000 gallons of water on the back, and unlike the other trucks, it has an automatic transmission and power steering. The ladies love this one. It's a little difficult to operate, but not really if you follow along. This one also has a capacity of spreading foam, which actually extends the amount of water we can put on a fire. Chris will show you how.
To start the 5-ton truck, you need to make sure the shifter is in neutral. You need to turn battery on, which is a switch on the dashboard. Once you have turned the battery on, you hit the starter switch. With the vehicle started, there will be a low air pressure buzzer buzzing. It will take approximately 2 minutes for the air pressure to pump up. The gauge is on the dashboard. When the pressure is reached a safe operating pressure, the buzzer will stop. At that point, you release the emergency brake, put the vehicle into gear, and drive. On the lower left-hand side of the dashboard is a cold start button. which will actuate the ether. This button should only be pushed for a maximum of 3 seconds. You need to push the button while the motor is being cranked. To shut off the 5-ton truck, what you need to do is turn the run button off, then turn the battery button off. You need to do it in this order, or the alternator will have an overload problem. With the 5-ton truck positioned in a safe place to fight a fire, you need to make sure the emergency brake is on. The vehicle does not need to be running. The pump is separate from the drivetrain of this vehicle. Prior to starting the pump, you need to prime it. This lever will open up your prime pump. That needs to be pushed towards the back of the truck. Draw water through this hand pump. Once that is achieved, shut the valve. First, on this panel you see an ignition on/off. Turn the ignition on. Choke out. This is your throttle. About 2 or 3 turns will get her started. At that point, the engine will start. Push the choke in. The safety valve is located above the real circuit breaker. When your pressure has reached 60 pounds, you need to hit that safety lever down. At that point, you shall be pumping water. Once the pump has been started and primed and there's water at the hose ends, if you need to apply the foam system, this is how we'll do it. You will take the lever. You will move from the off position to the foam position. You will then take the dial that is on flush position. You will turn it to the foam position. Then you will take the metering knob. You will turn it to 0.1. That will meter foam to the hose line which you are applying on the fire. If you desire more foam, you can turn the dial up. It goes in tenths, 0.2, 0.3, etc. If there's difficulty getting foam to the hose end, you will need to prime the system. There's a button next to the lever on the foam panel. It is black. You need to push it down. You will hear a motor running. That is a prime motor that will push the foam into the hose section.
Well, that's it. Pretty simple, huh? Well, maybe not so simple, but gives you an idea how to run the trucks. And I'll be putting little plastic cards in all of the trucks, reviewing the steps on how to start them and how to make the pumps work. But the only way to really know how to do it is to do it. So if you get some free time during the week or on the weekends, come on down to the firehouse. Give me a call. Work with the trucks. Practice. It'll be important someday. On behalf of the Cherry Volunteer Fire Association, thank you for watching. Goodbye.